Yeah, I did it too. I hit the wall. Or technically, I don't think I really hit it, like smack, more like just before. I've always been very ambitious in school, trying to get very good grades, always having things outside of school, project leading things, like arranging large parties for the whole university together with a committee, or leading the project of creating a yearbook when I was in high school, for example. Those kind of things, And I've always enjoyed it a lot. And I think I also learned a lot from it. For example, it was very clear to me when I felt like I pushed it, above the energy limit that I really had. That feels like a good thing to have later on in life. And I also got acknowledged with a feeling, when your mind is really cluttered and you don't feel like you have time for the brain to really process and slow down and think through the thoughts, because you always have new things popping up that you need to fix. And even though these two feelings aren't the best feelings in the world or feelings that I always want to be within, I still think that it was very valuable for me to just get to know them and understand that part of myself, because they've been signals for me to know when it's time to slow down. And I took a break also between university and before I started to work again. So I had like 2 or 3 months where I just prioritized being for myself, calm, just doing things very slowly. And that summer was also when I converted my van and went out on a long road trip for like 3 weeks, just discovering for myself and with my friends. Hi, Sarah from the future here. The next part became a bit more heavier than I thought it would be. I put in some energizers that I hope can help. But if you're here for the learnings, you could just skip to here instead. And I hope you enjoy it. When I got into the job, or the first 2 weeks of the trainee program with all the intro, and later when I got into a project, it was just so many fun things to do, and I really felt like a sponge. All the knowledge just sucked right into me. And I really felt like this was so intellectually stimulating, and I learned so much, and I had so fantastic colleagues with so much knowledge that I just observed seeing them just fix things super professionally. At the same time as this happened, I also must confess that I had a little feeling that I didn't really enjoy my brain being so sucked up into work. I very seldom worked more than 40 hours a week, but I felt like my brain didn't have energy for anything more than work, if that makes sense. So when I got home, I was always tired, and I really needed to prioritize just getting rest, because I knew that I needed to have that brain power for tomorrow when I went back to work again. And this was fine for the first year. I was committed to my work and I wanted to learn. But I remember that I promised myself that year 2 and 3, I wanted to look into what I could do differently to have some spare energy when I met my friends, or for having hobby projects at the side of work. After some months, I had the possibility to join a quite complex project within a large company at their IT department. I was also, within this time frame, very engaged within our environmental group. But after a while, I started to feel more and more drained. And even though I felt like I really learned so much from the project, and that I was so proud of everything that we accomplished within the environmental group, I couldn't ignore the feeling that I now have started to push it again. But I felt it's fine. As long as it didn't last for too long, I knew I could handle it. So I decided to push it, because I wanted to do a great job within the project at the same time as I wanted to put in some work to get this environmental thing growing. But in the beginning of this year, I realized that this won't be sustainable for me for that much longer. I had just pushed it. I'd never gave myself rest in between, because I wanted so bad for these things to work. Now in hindsight, I've realized that I probably borrowed energy from the future, energy that I might not even have. When I started to feel like I pushed it too hard, I communicated that to my job, and they listened so well on that, and I had the possibility to actually step down from the project, to get some time to rest, to get another pace. But what I didn't know then is that my energy levels were too low to push up again. And it was quite hard for me to confess that to myself, because I've always been a person who is very independent. I've always solved the things and the problems that got in my way. I've always done it by myself, like I see myself as a quite strong person. And suddenly I felt I didn't have the energy left to be that person anymore. It was like I never got over 40% of energy income, and then I just drained it all at work. And then I went to sleep and got up maybe to 30%, and then I drained it at work and go back to sleep. But it never extended 40%. And that was quite frustrating after a while. And it was also at that point, when I was able to formulate this, that I realized I will need a break, and I will need it much sooner than I originally thought. I remember thinking that I had this 10% left in the end of that spring, and that it would be just enough to reach the summer vacations. But I was wrong. In the beginning of May, my energy was totally out. I remember taking the subway to work one day, and I was just so overwhelmed with all the lights and all the sounds and all the people around me that I didn't even make it to the office. I just needed to turn around, turn back, and go straight home to sleep. And I remember also the feeling waking up after and realizing that if I push it more than this now, I will surely hit the wall. It was like standing on a steep, just feeling like if I push it now, I will just fall down. But that was also when I decided to just pull the handbrake and stop it all. I realized I need to listen to my body. It sends me too many signals to ignore. And my body and brain needed this rest now. So the weeks that followed was quite interesting and gave me a lot of insights. They were also hard because it was heavy not having this energy that I'm used to, and also trying to not waste the little energy that I had left for anything else than for myself. One thing I realized is how hard it was for me to ask for help. It was a really aha moment when I realized that I didn't want to ask for help because I didn't want to be a burden for anyone else. And it was a quite interesting feeling because I love to be there for others. I always want to support my friends. I want them to call if they need me or if they need anything. I'm there for them. But when it happened to me, I hesitated on calling them because I didn't want to be a burden for them. And I guess this is the behavior that I have as a people pleaser, but it's also a bit sad because you need to give people a chance to be there for you. Starting to ask for help, it was hard in the beginning, but then I also realized how much love I have around me and how much my friends matter to me and how much my family does. And also how much our bond strengthened because I could be vulnerable with them. I didn't just have to be this strong person that always took care of herself. Just because you can fix things yourself doesn't mean that you have to. That was learning number 2 for me, and something that I will take with me forever in the future, I think. I also realized that I'm the only one who can tell how I feel, and I'm also the only one who can do something about it. And it is my responsibility to make sure that I feel good. I can ask others for help, I can ask others for advice, but in the end, it's only me who can do those things for myself. And it's a lot of mindsets and things that happens in here. And I owe myself to do that. And one last thing that I also want to raise is how much it helped me to just being aware of my signals and actually listen to them when I needed to do it the most. I should have listened earlier, I know that, but it can be tricky, and I'm just glad that I did it at last. The past months now, it has consisted of a lot of sleep, like 10 to 12 hours a day in the beginning, now still like 9 to 10 every night, and to listen to my body and protect my energy at all costs, because it's not worth jeopardizing getting into that hole again. I had a break planned since before when I was supposed to go out traveling, but I realized I had to do it differently. I needed more slow traveling, just letting myself be. I also decided quite quickly that I wanted to extend these 2 months, not coming home until Christmas. And I genuinely believe that that is one of the best decisions that I've ever made for myself. I'm still on this journey, and I have a feeling that it will last for a while. And I really look forward to meet more parts of myself. And I'm so glad that I've started.